We were discussing cases in which compound is not containing any chiral carbon atom, but compound can be optically active. And in that, our first case was biphenyl. I have already discussed this case, biphenyl case. Biphenyl are the compound in which two benzene ring are attached with a single covalent bond. Let's say this is the one benzene ring is planar. This is the second benzene ring. These two benzene ring are attached to one another through a single covalent bond, and about a single covalent bond free rotation is possible. So if you are taking phenyl compound, biphenyl compound, there is a covalent bond between these two rings. There will be flipping around this covalent bond. If we are going to place bulkier group at all the ortho position, let us say these are the two bulkier group at the ortho position of one benzene ring, and another benzene ring is also going to have bulky group at its ortho position. If you are having such type of a structure in biphenyl, there will be a strong electronic repulsion among these bulkier groups. So to minimize that repulsion, one benzene ring will flip and it will be in vertical plane. Remember, it will be stationary in vertical plane, because when it is going to rotate again, it is going to have the repulsion, and repulsion will be minimum in this situation. The reason is the distance between the bulkier group will be maximum and electronic repulsion will be minimum. Now what I'm saying, if the groups attached, these groups G1, G2, G3, G4, if these groups attached to one ring are different, G1 is not equal to G2 and G3 is not equal to G4. If you observe the situation, what is happening, two groups which are not equal to each other are in horizontal plane, and two groups which are not equal to each other are in vertical plane. Whenever you are getting such type of situation, you cannot have any plane of symmetry or center of symmetry. If you will try to divide this molecule with a vertical plane, these two groups or at present at ortho position can be divided into equal part, but these two are not going to mirror image of each other. These two are different. These are not going to be the mirror image of each other. If we will draw a horizontal plane, these two group will be divided, but these two are not going to be the mirror image of each other. That is why I am saying in this situation there is no plane of symmetry, no center of symmetry, and if symmetry is not present, compound is going to be optically active. This was our first case. Now let's start with the second. Now the second case is the compound which is not containing any chiral carbon but can be optically active is a Spiro type compound. And what is a Spiro compound? Spiro compounds are bicyclo compound. It is bicyclo compound, and there is one bridged atom. There is one bridged atom between two cyclic ring, right? The structure for the Spiro compound. In this case, I have drawn two cyclobutane structure, and there is one common atom, and that common atom is known as bridged carbon atom. Let's say I am drawing again. It is two cyclobutane cyclic structure, and there is one common atom. This common atom is known as bridged carbon atom. Bridged carbon atom, right? So what I am saying, in a Spiro compound, if you check, the given Spiro compound is not containing any chiral carbon, but it can show optical isomerism. It can show optical isomerism if the groups attached to the terminal carbons are G1, G2, G3, G4. Again, G1 must not be equal to G2 and G3 must not be equal to G4. If you recall the case, previous case, biphenyl case, in which I was saying that it can be optical, a compound can achieve the optical activity situation, or you can say unsymmetry situation, if the two groups G1, G2 are in vertical plane. G1, G2 must not be equal, and also two groups G3, G4 are in horizontal plane. G3, G4 should not be equal, right? Similar situation we are getting in Spiro compound itself also how these two rings are in different plane. We can analyze the situation. Let's say the first carbon atom, or start analyzing from the bridged carbon atom. Our bridged carbon atom is sp3 hybridized. This is what sp3 hybridized, right? Just assume the first cyclic ring is in the plane of paper. If the first cyclic ring is in the plane of paper and bridged carbon atom is sp3 hybridized, then definitely around sp3 hybridized carbon atom shape or symmetry will be tetrahedral. And I have repeated many times that if you want to draw the tetrahedral shape on a paper, then out of 4 covalent bond, 2 covalent bond, if the 2 covalent bond is in the plane of paper, then definitely another 2 covalent bond will be out of the plane of paper, and that 2 covalent bond which is out of the plane of paper, one will be below the plane of paper and another will be above the plane of paper towards the observer. That I have drawn in a second picture. You can see first cyclic ring is in the plane of paper, bridged carbon atom. About this bridged carbon atom, if you can observe, 2 covalent bond is in the plane of paper, then definitely 2 is going to be out of the plane. One is below the plane of paper, that is drawn by the dotted line, and another is above the plane of paper, that is drawn by the shaded line. So if you draw the structure, you will find that these two cyclic rings are mutually perpendicular to each other. If one ring is in the plane of paper, then definitely it is going, next one is going to be perpendicular to the plane of paper. Now observe the terminal carbon atom. If I am saying, let's say, just take the first terminal carbon atom. This terminal carbon atom is also sp3 hybridized, and it is also going to achieve tetrahedral shape. If the 2 covalent bond is in the plane of paper, that is already there, the 2 covalent bond involved in cyclic ring is already in the plane of paper. So another 2 covalent bond that is attached with group G1 and G2 will be out of the plane. Let's say G1 is below the plane and G2 is towards the observer above the plane. Now look at the last terminal carbon atom, which is again sp3 hybridized. It is again sp3 hybridized. Its 2 covalent bond is already shown out of the plane of paper, which is attached with the cyclic ring. So another 2 covalent bond which is attached with G3 and G4 will be in the plane of paper. Now observe the situation. If I am saying this G3 G4 is in the plane of paper, that G1 G2 will be out of the plane of paper, means one is in vertical plane. The G3 G4, if G3 G4 groups are in vertical plane, then definitely G1 G2 groups will be in horizontal plane. Again we are having two different plane, two mutually perpendicular plane containing groups G1, G2, G3, G4. If you are having the situation that G1 is not equal to G2 and also G3 is not equal to G4, then in this case also you are not going to get any plane of symmetry or any center of symmetry, and compound will be optically active, right? I hope this is clear to you. This type of compound is not going to contain any plane of symmetry, neither center of symmetry, and this compound is going to be optically active. Similar situation was with biphenyl also. In biphenyl case also there is no plane of symmetry, no center of symmetry, and compound is optically active. There was one extra condition in biphenyl that G1, G2, G3, G4 groups should be bulkier, and also G1 is not equal to G2, G3 is not equal to G4. Now the third case in which compound is not containing any chiral carbon atom but it is optically active is alene type of compound. What is alene type of compound? Compound containing two double bond on consecutive carbon atom, cumulative double bond, right? This is what is known as alene type of compound. If you observe alene type of compound, you will find first see the hybridization. First carbon atom is sp2 hybridized, second carbon atom is sp hybridized, third carbon atom is again sp2 hybridized. If you're saying the second carbon atom is sp hybridized, so around the second carbon atom the shape should be linear. So what I am saying, these three carbon atom are in a single line. These the shape should be linear, right? Now what I am saying, if you will observe, you will find again G1 G2. If G1 G2 is in the plane of paper, then definitely G3 G4 is going to be perpendicular to the plane of paper. How is it possible? Let's see the situation. If you are saying the first carbon atom is sp2 hybridized, let me draw the structure. If you are saying the first carbon atom is sp2 hybridized, and around sp2 hybridized shape, around sp2 hybridized atom, the shape is trigonal planar. So let's say it is G1 G2, right? So this G1 G2 and second carbon, the first carbon is sp2 hybridized. So around this sp2 hybridized carbon atom, whatever surrounding atoms are there, join them, you will get a trigonal planar shape. That means G1, carbon number 2, G2 and again G1. If you will join these three, you are going to get trigonal planar shape, right? Now next, if this trigonal planar shape is in the plane of paper, if this trigonal planar shape is in the plane of paper, then the pi bond formed between carbon number 1 and 2, the pi bond formed between carbon number 1 and 2 will be perpendicular to the plane of paper. What I am saying, if this G1 G2 and carbon number 2 is in the plane of paper, then pi bond between 1 and 2 will be perpendicular to the plane of paper. And also if pi bond of 1 and 2 is perpendicular to the plane of paper, then definitely pi bond of second carbon and third carbon will be in the plane of paper, that you should remember that. If any planar compound is there and that planar compound is containing pi bond, then the pi bond will be definitely perpendicular to that planar shape. Pi bond will be definitely perpendicular to that planar shape. That can be proved also. How? Let's say the atomic number of carbon atom is 6 and its configuration is 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. This is ground state configuration. Just write down the excited state configuration. It will be 1s2, 2s2 and 2s1 and 2p3, right? When you are saying the carbon is sp2 hybridized, it is 2s orbital which is going to contain one electron, 2p subshell. In each 2p subshell there is 3 orbital, and each orbital here getting one electron. Remember one thing, according to chemical bonding, any atom which is going to form the covalent bond, the number of covalent bond formed by a particular atom should be equal to number of unpaired electron in its valence shell. Look at the first carbon atom, it is going to form 4 covalent bond. That is why we have to write the excited state configuration. In excited state configuration, you can observe that there are 4 unpaired electron in different orbitals, right? So there must be this situation. A number of covalent bond formed is always equal to number of unpaired electron present in outermost shell. Now, if you are saying that the first carbon atom is sp2 hybridized, so select the 1s orbital and 2p orbital. These 3 orbital are going to mix and 3 sp2 hybridized orbital will be generated. these three sp2 hybridized orbital will involve in sigma bond formation. Means one sigma bond is carbon and group between carbon and group G1, second sigma bond is between carbon and group G2, third sigma bond is between carbon number 1 and 2, right? All the three sigma bonds are formed and three sigma bonds are in the plane of paper. Now what I'm saying, let's say if the first p orbital is px, second p orbital is py, and third p orbital is pz. So you are saying that 2s orbital, 2px orbital and 2py, since you are taking px and py orbital, so this triangular plane will be in xy plane, right? You are left with pz orbital. The atomic orbital of first carbon, which is pz orbital, will be perpendicular to xy plane, and that pz orbital will overlap with the pz orbital of second carbon atom to form the pi bond, because pi bond is formed by lateral overlapping. To form the pi bond, the symmetry of 2p orbital must be same. If you are taking the pz orbital of first carbon atom, then to form the pi bond you have to take the pz orbital of second carbon atom. That means your trigonal planar plane is in xy plane while the p orbital is perpendicular to the plane, that I was saying. Now if pi bond between 1 and 2 is formed by the overlapping of pz and pz, then definitely pi bond between 2 and 3 will be formed by py and py, and py will be in plane of paper, that I was saying. If first pi bond is in vertical plane, second pi bond will be in horizontal plane. So remember, the pi bond between 2 and 3 is in the plane of paper. So according to logic that I was saying, if a trigonal planar shape is containing any pi bond, then pi bond must be perpendicular to its plane, right? So look at the third carbon atom. Third carbon atom is again what? sp2 hybridized, and in sp2 hybridization the shape is trigonal planar. So the groups attached to third carbon atoms are G3, G4. If you are going to join this group G3, G4 and second carbon atom, again you are going to get the trigonal planar shape. But remember, the pi bond between 2 and 3 is going to be perpendicular to the plane containing second carbon atom, group G3 and group G4. And already you are saying the pi bond between 2 and 3 is in the plane of paper, then definitely the trigonal planar plane is going to be perpendicular to the plane of paper. That means that this G3 and G4 groups are going to be out of the plane that I have drawn here. You can see G3, G4 are out of the plane. I have drawn G3 inside the plane of paper and G4 outside the plane of paper. If you observe, again we are having the similar situation. Two groups G1, G2 in the plane of paper, another two groups G3, G4 in perpendicular to the plane of paper, and also G1 is not equal to G2, G3 is not equal to G4. In this case, again you are not going to have any plane of symmetry, any center of symmetry. So this compound is going to be optically active, right? So these are the three cases that you should remember, that compound is not containing any chiral carbon atom, but it is optically active with the condition G1 is not equal to G2, G3 is not equal to G4. You can observe the scene where I have attached the atom, right? Remember, G1 can be equal to G3, G1 can be equal to G4, right? That can happen, but the groups attached the same carbon atom must be different. So these are the three important cases. Now what we are going to do, we are going to assign the configuration R and S capital R and capital S to the chiral carbon, right? It is again very important. I'll start with the Fischer projection. In Fischer projection, we already know there is vertical and horizontal line. And to start this R and S configuration, you should be very clear with CIP rule or preference rule or sequence rule that I have already explained to you in geometrical isomerism, right? So just go through that rule again. If it is not clear to you, then get back to this R and S configuration of chiral carbon atom. In Fischer projection, let's say I have taken the one carbon atom which is chiral. You can observe there is a carbon atom at the center, and all the valencies of this carbon atom is satisfied by different atom or group of atom. Then definitely it is going to be what? Chiral. This is the condition of chirality. Now next, to assign R and S configuration, we have to assign priorities. We have to assign priorities to the atom or group of atom which is attached with chiral carbon atom, The first rule in CIP was, if you observe the atomic number of directly attached atom, either it is double bonded carbon atom or to the chiral carbon atom, more is the atomic number, more is the priority, right? And if atomic number of two atoms are same, then more is the atomic mass, more is the priority. According to this CIP rule, if you look at the atomic number of directly attached atom, which is what? Chlorine, fluorine, deuterium and protium. Definitely the atomic number of chlorine is higher than protium, deuterium and fluorine. So chlorine will be given first priority, and then fluorine will be given second priority, and out of protium, deuterium, definitely the atomic mass of deuterium is more than protium, so deuterium will be given third priority, and protium is going to be given as fourth priority, right? You have to assign 4 priority here because 4 atom or group of atom are attached to the chiral carbon atom. Now according to the rule, how to assign the R and S configuration? Just look at the position of lowest priority group. Just look at the position of lowest priority group. First case is if the lowest priority group is in vertical line, either it can be on above side or it can be bottom side. If it is on vertical line, you start moving from first priority group to second priority group, then second priority group to third priority group. How that I am saying, first priority group to second priority group and second priority group to third priority group. Remember one thing, while doing so, while moving from first priority to second priority and then second priority to third priority, you must not retrace the path. You must not retrace the path. Some of you may say that, sir, if the situation is this, first priority, second priority, third priority and fourth priority on above side, some of you may say that, sir, I want to move from first to 2 in clockwise direction, then 2 to 3 in anti-clockwise direction. If you are doing so, it is wrong. You are retracing the path. You must not retrace the path. If you are doing so, start moving 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3, and if you are moving in anti-clockwise direction, the configuration will be S. If you are moving in clockwise direction, the configuration is R. The rule is written here. If lowest priority group is on vertical line, start moving first priority to second priority, then second priority to third priority. If it is clockwise direction, the configuration of chiral carbon is R. Otherwise, it will be S, right? I think first rule is clear to you. Now the next case it may happen the lowest priority is on horizontal line. The lowest priority atom or group of atom is on horizontal line. If it is so, again you start moving 1 to 2, 2 to 3. In previous case the lowest priority was on horizontal line, sorry, vertical line. If it is on vertical line, clockwise, movement of clockwise was R. Now if the lowest priority is on horizontal line, movement of clockwise will be assigned as S configuration. That is written here. I have taken one compound in which the lowest priority is on horizontal line. You can see chlorine is first priority, fluorine second priority, definitely based on their atomic number. Then deuterium and protium, definitely deuterium is given more priority than protium. The reason is deuterium is having more atomic mass. Now you can see the lowest priority is on horizontal line. Now I start moving 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3 without retracing the path. You are moving in clockwise direction, right? If you are moving in clockwise direction, then here the configuration will be S. Clockwise direction, when the lowest priority on horizontal line, the configuration is S. Clockwise direction, when lowest priority on vertical line, is R. Just invert the result, right? Just invert the result. If you are changing the position of lowest priority from vertical to horizontal, just invert the result. You can remember only one case, remember either one case, either of one, and for second one just invert the result, right? I hope it can be easy to remember, right? The next case is determination of R and S configuration in flying wedge diagram, shaded or dotted line diagram, right? Again, you can see I have taken the chiral carbon atom. All the valency of this carbon atom is satisfied by different atom or group of atom. The rule is if the lowest priority, let us decide the priority. We are having fluorine, chlorine, bromine and hydrogen. Definitely the atomic number of bromine is highest, so bromine is given first priority, then chlorine second priority, fluorine third, and definitely hydrogen will be the least atomic number, so it is assigned fourth priority. The rule is if the lowest priority, here it is hydrogen, if the lowest priority is away from observer, that dotted line is below the plane of paper. Remember that dotted line is below the plane of paper, continuous line is in the plane of paper, and shaded line is towards the observer, right? If the lowest priority atom or group of atom is away from observer, that is on dotted line, again start moving in same way, first priority group to second priority and then second priority to third priority. If you are moving in clockwise direction, the configuration is R. If you are moving in anti-clockwise direction, the configuration is S. Let us decide the configuration here. You are moving bromine to chlorine, first priority to second priority, and then chlorine to fluorine, second priority to third priority. It is definitely anti-clockwise direction. The configuration will be S, right? If it was clockwise, it would be R configuration. So I hope this is clear. Now the next situation may be the lowest priority is on shaded line. If the lowest priority is on shaded line, that means lowest priority is towards the observer. And if it is towards the observer, right, you are just changing the position now from below the plane of paper to above the plane of paper. So the result will be also inverted. Previous case, if it is below the plane of paper, you are moving clockwise, then R, anti-clockwise it is S. If it is on shaded line toward the observer, then clockwise will be assigned as S and anti-clockwise will be assigned as R, right? The rule is written here. If the lowest priority group is towards the observer, that is on shaded bond, on moving 1 to 2, then 2 to 3, if it is clockwise, the configuration is S, otherwise R. So let us find the configuration here. You can see the priority is very easy. I have done sufficient practice for you. to decide the CIP rule. I was given the sufficient problem on that. So I think you are clear with the CIP rule, right? So start moving first priority to second priority, and then second priority to third priority. Here the least priority is on shaded line, that is toward the observer. You are moving in clockwise direction, right? So the configuration will be S. The configuration will be S. If it would be if it was in anti-clockwise direction, the configuration would be R. The next thing is configuration of chiral carbon and mirror image, right? Let's find the configuration of chiral carbon in the first compound that was given. Definitely first we have to assign the priority. Bromine is of first priority, chlorine second priority, fluorine third priority, and hydrogen is of fourth priority. Least priority is on vertical line. Start moving from first priority to second priority, and then second priority to third priority. You are moving in anti-clockwise direction, right? You are moving in anti-clockwise direction. So the configuration will be S. Now observe first and second compound. Definitely first and second compounds are mirror images of each other. You can see the first and second compounds are mirror images of each other. There is a mirror between them. Now let us find the configuration of second compound. Hydrogen is still fourth priority, bromine first priority, chlorine second priority, fluorine third priority. Start moving first priority to second priority, and then second priority to third priority. You are moving in clockwise direction, and lowest priority is on vertical line. So the configuration here it will be R. Right? Now observe compound 2 and 3. Compound 2 and 3 are again mirror images of each other. And if you will find the configuration, you would be moving from bromine to chlorine, first priority to second priority, and second priority to third priority. You can observe again the lowest priority is on vertical line. You are moving in anti-clockwise direction now. So if you are moving in anti-clockwise direction, lowest priority is on vertical line, configuration will be S, right? Now again observe compound 3 and 4 are mirror images of each other again, and try to find the configuration of fourth compound, bromine to chlorine, and then chlorine to fluorine. You are moving in clockwise direction, lowest priority is on vertical line, so configuration will be R. Now see the situation. First compound the configuration was S, next compound the configuration is R. First and second are mirror images of each other. Second and third again mirror images of each other. The configuration is inverted from R to S. When you are moving first to 2, the configuration is inverted from S to R. Then 2 to 3 again R to S, then 3 to 4 again S to R. So that what I am saying, the conclusion is, if you are taking the mirror image of chiral carbon, then the configuration is going to be inverted. If it is S, it will become R. If it is R, it will get converted to S, right? I hope this is clear. Now one more important thing. Observe first and second compound. Let me draw it separately. Observe first and second compound. It is bromine, hydrogen, fluorine, and chlorine. And the second compound is the mirror image of first, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and hydrogen. So what I am saying, observe compound 1 and 2. Now there is only one change. If you are moving from compound 1 to 2, there is only one change. You are changing the position of chlorine and fluorine only. Nothing else. Now observe compound 1 and 3. Observe compound 1 and 3. If you want to move from compound 1 to 3, you have to change the position on horizontal line. That is one change on horizontal line, and also there is one change on vertical line. You can see in first one the hydrogen is on downside, while in third one the hydrogen is on above side. Hydrogen bromine position is also changed. Chlorine fluorine position is also changed. So what I'm saying, I can say when you are moving from compound 1 to 2, there is only one change. When you are moving from 1 to 3, there is two change. When you are moving from 1 to 4, there is only again one change. Now simultaneously you can observe compound 2 and 4. Observe compound 2 and 4. There is two change, right? Now also observe the configuration. Let us observe the configuration. If you are saying compound 1 and 2, if you are taking compound 1 and 2, there is only one change and the configuration is inverted. If we are taking compound 1 and 3, there is two change and configuration is same. Configuration is same. 2 is what? 2 is even and 1 is what? Odd. So I can conclude one thing. If the even number of changes are done around chiral carbon atom, then configuration will be retained. Configuration is not going to change. And if odd number of changes are done around chiral carbon atom, then configuration is going to be inverted. Remember, if even number of changes are done around chiral carbon atom, then configuration will be retained. Configuration is not going to change. And if odd number of changes are done around chiral carbon atom, the configuration will get inverted. These are the conclusion, and the conclusions are very, very important. First conclusion is on taking mirror image, configuration of chiral carbon gets inverted. If it is R, it will get converted to S. If it is S, it will get converted to R. Now the second conclusion is, if even number of changes are done around chiral carbon atom, configuration remains same. It is not going to change. If odd number of changes are done around chiral carbon atom, the configuration will get inverted. Now the next thing is we were discussing the flying wedge diagram. I was taking the two cases in which the lowest priority is either on dotted line away from observer, lowest priority towards the observer on shaded line. We have written the rule that if it is on dotted line on moving 1 to 2, 2 to 3, if it is clockwise R, anti-clockwise S, right? And reverse the result if it is on shaded line. But I wasn't discussed the case in which the lowest priority is on continuous line. What happen if the lowest priority is on continuous line? So now it's time to discuss the case when a lowest priority is on continuous line in flying wedge diagram. I have taken one case, compound in which hydrogen is on continuous line. If you observe, if you assign the priority, hydrogen here is of fourth priority, bromine is of first priority, chlorine is of second priority, and fluorine is of definitely third priority, right? So what should we do in this case if lowest priority is on continuous line? I'll explain in two ways, whichever is easier to you, just accept that and use that method. First method is that we have concluded previously that if you are going to do odd number of changes around chiral carbon, if you are doing odd number of changes around chiral carbon, the configuration is going to be inverted. So if you want to find the configuration when lowest priority is on continuous line, you just exchange this lowest priority group with any another group which is present either on shaded line or dotted line. You can exchange this hydrogen with chlorine, you can exchange this hydrogen with bromine, you can exchange it with anyone, right? I'm exchanging here with chlorine. Let us exchange the position of hydrogen and chlorine. So the new structure will be fluorine and chlorine on continuous line. On shaded line it will be hydrogen, and on dotted line it was bromine already there. Again assign the priority. Bromine is of first priority, chlorine second priority, bromine fluorine third priority, and hydrogen fourth priority. Now in this compound I can assign the priority. The reason is the lowest priority is on shaded line towards the observer. We have written the rule for that. Start moving from first priority to second priority and then second priority to third priority without retracing the path. You will find the direction is anti-clockwise. If the direction is anti-clockwise and the lowest priority is toward the observer, the configuration is R. According to the rule that we have written. Now the compound in which you are finding the configuration is R, and you have done odd number of changes with respect to original compound, and we know that by doing odd number of changes the configuration is going to be inverted. So if the configuration of this compound is R, then definitely the configuration of original compound will be S, right? This is how we can find the configuration of chiral carbon if the lowest priority is on continuous line. This is the first. Convert that flying wedge diagram into Fisher projection. And how to convert that flying wedge diagram in Fisher projection? The rule number 1 is whatever group or atom or group is present on dotted line, that is away from observer, that must be drawn on bottom side in Fisher projection, right? Bromine is present on dotted line. I have drawn it on bottom side. Now you can start from any atom or group of atom which are left, fluorine, hydrogen, or chlorine. Let us say I am starting with hydrogen. You can start with chlorine or fluorine also. Now after selecting an atom, you can move either in clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction. Let us say I am moving in anti-clockwise direction here. If you will move in anti-clockwise direction starting from hydrogen, then first you will encounter with fluorine and then you are going to encounter with chlorine. Bromine is already drawn. Now you have to place that hydrogen, fluorine, chlorine in Fisher projection. 3 positions are vacant. Just place the hydrogen at any of the position, either on left side or right side or above side. You have complete freedom here also. Let us say I am taking the above position where I am going to place the hydrogen, right? Now you are bounded. If you are moving in anti-clockwise direction in Fisher projection, in flying wedge diagram, then you have to move in anti-clockwise direction in Fisher projection also, right? So if you are moving in anti-clockwise direction in Fisher projection, next vacant position must be occupied by fluorine, and next vacant position must be occupied by chlorine, right? This is how we can convert that flying wedge diagram into Fisher projection. Let us draw one more structure. Some of you may say that sir, I do not want to select hydrogen, I want to select chlorine. Okay, no problem, select the chlorine. And definitely first rule is same, the lowest priority atom or group of atom the atom or group of atom present on dotted line must be on bottom side of the Fisher projection. Now you have selected the chlorine. You can move in clockwise direction here. You are free to move in anti-clockwise also, right? And let us say you are placing chlorine on right side. Right side chlorine we have already placed, right? Let us say you are placing chlorine on left side. And if you are moving in clockwise direction in flying wedge diagram, so you have to move in clockwise direction in Fisher projection also. If you are moving in clockwise direction from chlorine, when you were started moving in flying wedge diagram from chlorine, first you encountered with fluorine because bromine is already drawn. So next vacant position must be occupied by fluorine, and next position must be occupied by hydrogen, right? These are the Fisher projections. Your Fisher projection may be different. Remember, your Fisher projection may be different, but the configuration is going to be same. Let us find the configuration. For configuration, start moving from first priority to second priority. Bromine is the first priority, chlorine second priority, and then chlorine to fluorine. You are moving in anti-clockwise direction. And lowest priority group is on vertical line. So the configuration is going to be S. Now in second structure, the lowest priority is hydrogen is on horizontal line. You start moving from bromine to chlorine, first priority to second priority, and then second priority to third priority. You are moving in clockwise direction, and lowest priority is on horizontal line. Again, configuration is going to be S. So your Fisher projection may be different, but the configuration you are going to get the same. This is the second method to assign the R and S configuration to the chiral carbon. In flying wedge diagram, when lowest priority atom or group of atom is on continuous line. This is it for today. I'll discuss the next part of optical isomerism in next class, right? Bye bye.